guys, today we are going to show you how to replace a motor on your GTR boards or Hadean series boards. Firstly, the tools you're going to need is a Y tool, which usually comes with the board. And there's also a little tool that comes with it as well. If you do not have one of these, you can use a 1/2 inch spanner, which would be perfect size, as well as a 1/8 Allen key. All right, let's get started. Okay, so the first step is grab your board, move it to the side like this. You have to remove the wheel nut and then pull the wheel off. Undo the nut, put it to the side. Now, as you pull the wheel off, grab it on the side and then put your thumbs into where the drive gear is and then just sort of lift like this. Come straight off. Put the wheel aside. Okay, so what we have to do now is we need to grab the little tool that comes with the Y tool and we have to undo the 2 screws that are in the belt cover. Okay, let's put the belt cover aside. Next step is to grab the gear and belt like this and then lift up and then rotate at the same time. What this does is it removes the belt away from the drive gear on the motor. Okay, all right. Now the whole gear and belt system is off. What we now need to do is, there's 4 screws here on the motor plate. We just need to remove each one of these out and then the motor is going to be loose. Now, when you do the last one, make sure that you hold your hand underneath the motor so the motor doesn't fall away. Okay, now that the last screw is out, what you can do is move the motor so the gear aligns with the motor plate hole and then it will come through, just like that. Okay, so you can put the motor to the side. Next step is hold the motor. Whilst holding the motor, just flip the board up. And to complete the removal, all you now need to do is disconnect the 2 motor harnesses. So there's a connector there. One comes from the motor controller, one comes from the motor. So you unclip it like this and then grab the motor connector close to where the connectors are, so you're not pulling from in here or pulling from there. So hold together close and then pull. And then you can move the motor to the side. All right, that's it. The motor has been completely removed. Now it's time to replace the motor with a new motor. First step is grab the motor, flip your board on its side. Okay, so with the motor cable like this, you want to have the motor cable coming on the inside of where the deck is. So firstly, push the gear through the motor plate hole and then make sure that the wire is near where the deck is. So first step would be, you've got to get 1 screw in. Once you get 1 screw in, it will hold the motor in place. You don't need to do the screw up all the way. Just do it fairly loose and then you can let go of the motor. The reason why we don't do it fully tight is because what we now need to do is we need to set the belt adjustment by sliding forward or back the motor. This helps belt tension. So what we're going to do now is, let's get the drive gear and the belt. Got to make sure that the bearing is in the back of the gear. If it's not there like it is, push it in like that. Okay, so grab the belt, put it around the gear neatly so it meshes with all the teeth. Okay, so slide the gear with the hole there over the axle. Move the motor slightly out so the gears don't touch and then it slides straight over the axle. So right now what you're going to see is the belt is really loose. You can't ride like that. What we now need to do is tighten it. Best way to do that is grab your fingers behind the motor, put your thumb on the motor plate there, and then just pull forward with a little bit of tension. All right, so there's no perfect science to this. The way I like to do it is have a bit of a feel. You don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose. Now, if you're happy with that, what you want to do is tighten up one of the screws. All right, so still feel it. Okay, not too tight, but medium tight. All right, next step is tighten up the other two on the inside and the outside. All right, make sure the gear's all the way down. That's fine. Does this feel tight enough? Still feels, actually it feels maybe a little bit tight. So what I like to do here is loosen back off one of the screws, and then on the last one that's holding, that's still in tight, just move it slightly. Don't back it off all the way, only just really slowly, and then tighten it. And what that's done is it's released a little bit more pressure on the belt without loosening it too much. So retighten the screws now. So 1, 2, this is the third one. All right, have a bit of a feel again. Yep, feels perfect. What you've got to do now is you need to tighten the last screw, which is on the inside. So now you have to take this whole assembly off again. So again, grab the gear, lift up and twist. All right, got to put that last screw in. All right, so that one's in. Just have a check of the other ones again. Try not to over tighten, but make it nice and firm. All right, let's grab your gear and belt once more. Again, holding on the outer. Slide over the axle. Now, what you've got to do is, with the belt, sort of align it up with the drive gear on the motor, and then just twist it slowly. Yep, see now it's grabbed. It's not on all the way, so what I like to do now is just twist and push down. Push down all the way. Okay, it's all level. The tension's perfect. Next step, let's get on the belt cover. Best way to do this is line up the two holes here with the two holes on the motor plate. Using your little tool again. All right, belt cover's on. Next step is to grab the wheel, slide the wheel over the axle, and then twist the wheel in place so it perfectly lines up with the drive gear. It'll naturally just sit straight over the top and lock into place. Don't forget the wheel nut, important last step. Okay, so now we have the new motor all assembled, the wheel nuts on, the belt tension's perfect. The last step now is to connect the motor to the motor controller connector. So we have one thing to note here. There's an Evolve logo on the connector that's coming out of the motor controller. There is also an Evolve logo on the motor connector. These logos need to line up. Once you've lined them up, just push them into place and then make them nice and tight. All right, so that's together. Last step is to make sure that this connector goes into this clip just here. There's like a couple of slots on the outside and the inside of the connectors, just there and there. They will hold into place on the motor clip. What I like to do is I like to secure the outer one first and then push the inner one last. All right, so that's in. One thing to note as well, you want to make sure that the wire that's coming out of the motor here is positioned the same way as the other on the other side. So you don't want it close to where the motor is, and it has a nice little bend around. So you can just always refer to the other side. All right guys, that's how it's done. Good luck.